All right, real quick, y'all, man. You know, this is Big Mike at Therapist Talks, and we just want to talk about the final House bill report. It's HB 2247. This actually deals with behavioral health provider shortages in the state of Washington. It passed, I believe, 98-0, passed the House committee and the rest of the delegates and whatnot. House committees involved was healthcare and wellness, House Committee on Appropriations, Health and Long-Term Care, Ways and Means. Background, everybody who works in the state of Washington kind of understands the background. There are certain limits on psychology associates. There's limits on how many times you can apply and renew your license, certain limits with continuing education hours, certain limits with how many times you could renew your license, master's level professionals, agency affiliated counselors, substance use disorder counselors. They had to pass a certain background program, apprenticeship program, or alternative trainings. They also had to pass an examination. They would only work at state-related agencies, regulated agencies. A trainee certification only be renewed 4 times unless the Secretary of State grants a waiver. So Psychologists Associated has a credential that's now created. It changes the way that they work. But right now, this video is more for substance use disorder professionals and trainees, as well as for licensed mental health counselors, social workers, and mental health counselor associates, or LMHCAs, any A's on the end. Let's get to that. So we have clinical social workers, mental health counselors, and marriage and family therapists. The continuing education component. The minimum hours of continuing education are eliminated for licensed clinical social workers, licensed mental health counselors, licensed marriage and family therapists, collectively referred to as master's level behavioral health professionals, and associates. So there are no more continuing education credit or hours needed for licensed folks and licensed associates. Instead of continuing education requirements are established in rules adopted by Department of Health in consultation with the Washington State Mental Health Counselors, Marriage and Family Therapists, and Social Workers Advisory Committees. So individuals who are licensed mental health counselor associates, or MFTAs, or LCISWAs. An applicant for an associate license may practice without a license under direct supervision for 120 days or until the applicant's license is issued or denied, whichever is sooner. The limit on the number of times an associate license may be renewed is eliminated. A person whose associate license was not renewed, okay, well, I'll get to that in a minute, but it says the limit of the number of times an associate license may be renewed is eliminated. So in the past, a licensed mental health counselor associate was only able to renew their license 6 times before they had to pass, the state or national examination to become fully independently licensed. That there's a difference. An associate still has to practice under individual credentialed to be able to supervise and sign off on their hours towards licensure. However, there were ways around that, as being a clinical supervisor without being able to sign off on hours, but that's a different story for another time, same channel. But the limit of the number of times associate license may be renewed is eliminated. That means you can go as an associate forever now. You don't have to end up passing the examination. You don't have, or so-called, that's what I don't see in the law so far. You don't have to pass, or the House bill, you don't have to pass the associate's license piece to become fully independently licensed. That used to be 6 years, and now it's eliminated. A person whose associate license was not renewed due to the person exceeding the renewal limit, that's as of before July 1st, because this law is changing, must be treated as if the person's license expired. The Department of Health must allow such a person to return to active status pursuant to standards rules, and procedures. The minimum number of years clinical experience for marriage and family therapists supervising an associate is reduced from 5 years to 2 years. And so this kind of goes on to supervisor stipends. The stipend program for associate licensees changed the stipend offset the cost, providing supervision to associates eligible for the program. Supervisor must meet all supervision qualifications, be actively providing supervision to at least one associate. And it kind of goes on to how much you can be reimbursed. $2,000 per year per associate. Okay. Substance use disorder professionals. So beginning January 1st, 2028, the practice setting for agency affiliated AACs, they call them, are expanded to include federally qualified health centers. Substance use disorder professionals, the requirement that substance use disorder trainee practice with a state regulated agency is eliminated. The number of times a substance use disorder professional trainee credentialed may be renewed is eliminated. A person whose credential was not renewed due to the person exceeding the renewal limit must be treated as if the person's license expired. The DOH must allow a person to return to active status pursuant to standard rules and procedures. So this is beautiful. This is great news. And it House passed. The votes on the final passes was 97-0. The Senate passed 49-0. The House passed 93-0. It's effective June 6th, 2024. 2024. So this is going into effect right now. This is a beautiful thing. Once again, this is House Bill 2247 in the state of Washington. Just kind of eliminated. This is a major ruling here. It just kind of eliminated the amount of times that the individual may renew. There are some people who renew their license 4, 5, 6 times and then reach a dead end and not able to study for the test or sit for the test. One of my doctorate associates told me that, a woman's paid up to $10,000 and took the test 10 times and failed. She only 11 times and failed. She passed it on the 12th time, but it took her over 10 G's to be able to pass the test. So you can see how some people would be, disqualified. And she was African American, and it says it kind of wasn't set up for African Americans. And I can understand that as being an African American myself. A lot of the tests are dispositions on Eurocentric lenses, and is not really culturally diversive, appropriate. So I can definitely understand that. But this just kind of renews it. So someone who was not able to take the test or pass the test, and they waited for the last year and they couldn't pass, and then their license expired, they now can be renewed. And that is great news for licensed mental health counselors, substance use disorder professionals, social workers, marriage and family therapists. Shout out to all the people out there doing the work, man. Y'all continue to keep it up. Once again, Big Mike, Therapist Talks. Y'all be blessed.